We're going to have a good time tonight. I can feel it. You guys ready?
Welcome to East Coast DNA. For today's guest, we have Dan Cochrane here talking to us about the Antigonish Highland Games. Welcome, Dan.
Thank you. Pleasure to be here.
So I know that in Glasgow, where it's my home base, we in the past historically had a Highland Games annually, and it seems to be something that has fallen off the radar the last few years. So I was kind of excited to hear from you. I don't get to Antigonish as often as I should, but this past year or two, I've had a lot of reasons to make the trek either to Antigonish or through Antigonish to get to Cape Breton, and usually involves a stop in the Antigonish area. So
Yes, sir.
definitely glad to hear from you. But what can you tell me about your Highland Games? And maybe if you could highlight what it is that's keeping the resiliency of you being able to keep the Highland Games going over the years.
Oh, absolutely. So we're celebrating our 159th year. We've had to cancel a few times, very few during World War One, I believe, or World War Two, certainly before my time, and of course the pandemic, right? So, but otherwise, I mean, we have a tremendous show of community support. Like, this is as much a community event as it's our event. I mean, we get great sponsors, you know, returning sponsors every year. Just about every business in the town gets in the spirit. I mean, it's truly a community event. So I think that's what sustains us more than anything, is the local support we receive. But I mean, we also have a great network of people that attend the event throughout the world, right? I mean, we've had people from as far as Australia, Germany, geez, I mean, I've seen people from just about everywhere show up to the field. So it's a really good mix. And yeah, like I say, the backbone of it is certainly our community, but I mean, it's something that's grown an international reputation. So we're really fortunate in that respect. But yes, sir.
And the event that you're hosting this year in 2024 is coming up. What are the dates for it?
From July 7th to the 14th.
7th to the 14th.
That's
So
right.
what type of events can the public look forward to in going to this?
Oh, we got a full slate, that's for sure. So throughout the week, there's a lot of community events going on. There's Kaylee's concerts. We have a street fair that takes place on Main Street in Antigonish. There's a Celtic golf tournament that goes on. There's like I say, there's numerous concerts in Kaylee's, too many to mention really, and that all leads in just the weekend. Once we get to Friday, we have what's called Tirnanog, which is Gaelic for Land of Eternal Youth. And it's a youth activities events that takes place on Friday morning. That's a great opportunity for kids to get involved, right? And kind of get an introduction to a lot of the Celtic things that are so important to this event and to our community. And so then from there, we have a 5-mile road race in the evening. That's always well attended. It's probably the hottest day of the year every year for some reason, but
Yeah.
they're a tough bunch. But so we get a really good event showing for that, and there's usually thousands of people lining the streets for it. And that leads into our concert Under the Stars, which takes place in the evening. That's a real good showcase of local talent. And yeah, it's got, you know, performers certainly mostly from the Antigonish area, a few from Cape Breton sneak in there too. So that's always a good show as well. And then this year we're excited to introduce a comedy show on Friday night, Celtic Comedy Night. So we're welcoming Daryl Purvis. He's a local comedian that's really gaining some international fame right now. He's been doing a few European tours, and he's really building an audience. So we're lucky to catch him when we did. So he was excited to do a show, and like I say, he's from here, so he knows all about the Highland Games and the spirit that comes with them. So I think it was an honor for him to do it as well. So that's our Friday, and after that, the following morning, we've got a parade that takes place through town. And that's for about an hour long anyways each morning. And that leads into the day's events, which are Highland dance, Scottish heavy events, piping and drumming competitions, solo and massed bands, piping and drumming. It's it's a really action-packed day, Saturday. And Sunday's much the same, as well as we also have a tug of war that takes place that day. So series of tug of wars, I should say. So those are always exciting. And this year we're actually going to welcome in a new farmers versus fishers pull. So it's just going to be, it's basically just local competition, right? We're not really going to, I mean, typically they have a weight class and everything, right? But for this one, it's just going to be 10 of their best versus 10 of their best, right? And see who gets the bragging rights afterwards. So that'll be a fun one. then in terms of music, I know this show loves music, so
Yeah.
we've got great headliners for Saturday night. We've got Waking Finnegan and the Mudmen. I don't know if you've ever heard of either, but
I'm no insult to Waking Finnegan, but Mudmen I'm familiar with probably from way too long ago because, and I'll just date myself a little bit. I don't remember the specific date, but they had played on Citadel Hill when they were like a new band.
Yeah, see, a lot of people have seen the Mudmen, but they have a tendency to leave you with forgotten memories, let's say.
Yeah. No,
Excuse me here, sorry.
they're definitely a good time.
Yeah,
That's
no,
for sure.
they're a lively bunch for sure. Good Celtic rock, mix of bagpipes and rock and roll. So that's a fun show. And no disrespect to Waking Finnegan, of course, they're a great group as well. They're from New Hampshire though, so you may not have heard of them, but
Ah,
they're a fantastic fusion group. They mix a lot of, like the Mudmen, they mix a lot of Celtic sounds with rock and some progressive rock. And yeah, they've got some really good sound. It's going to be a great lineup. So 4 hours of solid entertainment. So
and that Celtic rock sound, many of my viewers would be very
pardon.
familiar with it because there's lots of bands like that around the East Coast. Mudmen not being from this area is kind of unique that they have that same sound, and that the New Hampshire band as well. Like that's not usual from outside of our region. But I'm curious. I know there's a lot of local talent playing at the smaller events through the week and scattered throughout the weekend. Is there any sense of genre, or is it specifically Celtic theme music throughout the whole thing because of the Highland Games theme for it, or are you experiencing a little bit of diversity there as well?
It's primarily Celtic music. Now, with regard to diversity, though, the performers really kind of are from all walks of life, right?
Hmm.
We're very fortunate in that in terms of our competitors as well as our performers, we have a really diverse audience, and competitive field. So that's one aspect of the games that we really appreciate is how much of other cultures are becoming involved in the Celtic culture. It's like I say all the time, I mean, Scottish Highland culture is what we're about, but it's certainly not for Scottish Highlanders, right? I mean, it's for everybody.
Sure.
It's a part of history that I think everybody can embrace. So yeah. So, and to your point, we were mentioning there's over 70% of our competitors and performers are local. So we really make that a point of emphasis, try to give these people a platform to kind of showcase their skills, right? In front of the community, in front of build a following of their own. So
Yeah, it's amazing to have all of these opportunities out there. And I did take a chance to look at your website, which there will be a link in the description for this episode as well
great.
for anyone that's listening. But the schedule is listed out on your website right now, and it does look like a jam-packed week. I was surprised to see how many events there were leading up to the weekend as well.
Oh yeah. Well,
So
it's people always refer to it as the unofficial homecoming, right? Like
yeah,
everybody, people out west, people from all over tend to come home. They book their vacations around the Highland Games. It's just a
yes.
time when everyone knows everyone's going to be here, right? So
Yeah, absolutely. That's one of the best things about being in Nova Scotia is all the small communities have their own little events that pull everyone in for a small period of time. And you were fortunate enough to have one right at the beginning of the summer, so it's kind of a good summer kickoff for people.
absolutely. Ever since 1863, they decided the second week of July. So second weekend of July, I should say. So
Amazing.
yeah.
So, for anyone that's from out of town that wanted to go experience the event, is there any type of accommodations like in the main grounds area, or is it just to find lodging at local businesses?
It's local businesses, but I mean, there are a number of them within short distance from us, right?
Hmm.
I mean, there's the Maritime Inn. That's a pretty nice establishment that's right across the road from where we're at. But there's also the Claymore Inn and Suites is a fantastic option. They
Okay.
they've got a pool, they've got great rooms, they've got pretty accessible to the field too. So yeah, they're a really good option for especially if you have families and stuff. They have a lot of they're very, very well suited for that. Plus, they have a world-class restaurant in there, the Justamere Cafe. Fantastic. So
Sweet. And
um, and we also have the Microtel is another location. It's one of the Wyndham properties that they're located just off the highway, so they're pretty good for certainly for tourists. It's easy to find, and I mean we have lots of campgrounds as well throughout town. There's Whiddens Park is actually that's really conveniently located. It's right off of Main Street, but it's an enormous campground, so it's perfect for people that want to camp out and a short walk from where we're at. So there's no shortage of places to stay, and I mean beyond that, there's lots of cottages, things like that to rent near the shore. As you know, the ocean isn't too far from anywhere here. So
yeah, exactly. And you mentioned family. So are the majority or possibly all of these events like all ages family friendly?
Most of them, the later evening ones, like the comedy show and the
Mhm.
Saturday concert, are licensed events, so they'd be. But everything else is all ages. So
And the addition of the comedy show, I just kind of wanted to dive into that as well. Like that's more recent for this year, is it?
this is our first time doing it. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Yeah, it was just something different, right? We know that there's concerts and everything else going on through the week, and as much as we love Celtic music, as much as anyone else, but it's nice to have something different, just try to
Hmm.
appeal to all audiences. So we thought that a comedy show would be a great way to kind of, give an alternative to the programming for people. So we're hoping it has a good response. So far, it seems like tickets are selling really well. So
Yeah, yeah. I've noticed a lot of venues have been adding comedians into the routine, and I've had a couple actually featured on the show as well because of that. So it is nice. It's different, that's for
yeah, it
sure,
really
but
is.
it's
It's interesting how
nice
the
to
comedy
see.
scene's growing, isn't it? I think that's
Yeah.
wonderful. I mean, comedy was always a big part of my life anyways, so it's great to see such a local component of it and to watch that industry kind of grow from the ground up in our area. So,
Yeah, no, it gives a nice platform for people to maybe deliver a different type message or give a
oh,
different
absolutely.
perspective, or even just to not think too hard and laugh for a
God
couple
knows some of
hours
the
is
funniest
nice.
people I've ever met are from this area, so
Yeah,
there's
there
definitely
you
no
go.
shortage of humor here. So, yeah,
Exactly. So now to have an event like this, I imagine that there has to be some type of events that run throughout the year to kind of help fund this type thing. Or
absolutely. So a lot of the funding we get is either through sponsorship, of course, local
Mhm.
sponsors, and we also have events like we host a Feast of St. Andrews each November. We have a lot of community events that aren't necessarily money makers either. It's just a matter of keeping the community involved and furthering the culture, right? So we have like for example, we celebrate Hogmanay every New Year's. That's a traditional Scottish New Year's Eve celebration. So we have an event for that, and then later on in January, we have Robert Burns Day. That's a celebration of Scotland's national poet. And we have a dinner for that as well. And we offer Gaelic language programming, youth camps. Yeah, there's really a mixed bag of stuff. But throughout the year, that's the biggest message. I mean, we're not really, we're not for profit organization. So profit certainly isn't the incentive. It's more about just perpetuating the culture and ensuring that it continues for future generations. So,
Yeah, and that's probably something that's unique too, like where it's not a lot of what we feature on here would be music festivals. But
right.
with this is the Highland Games, and music is a component of it. An even bigger component of it that kind of branches both aspects is the cultural part of it, that it is promoting culture that maybe we're not as in touch with on day to day in our communities. And it would have been years ago much more apparent.
Oh, yeah.
So it's nice to be able to keep that alive and
No,
celebrate it
absolutely.
as we keep moving
Yeah, and we've
forward.
I mean, yeah, I've referenced it many times, but the events that led to a lot of the Scots that settled in our region was the Highland clearances, where they were kind of their culture was taken from them and they were kind of forced from their homelands. So it was really important to the people that settled in our area to preserve that culture, and that's the biggest reason we continue to perpetuate it today, right? Is that we know that this was something that was, forcibly removed from their culture. So it's important to us to preserve that. And I think the Gaelic language component is something that was forgotten for many years, right?
Hmm.
And so that's in the last 20 years or so, the Office of Gaelic Affairs has been putting a lot of effort into promoting Gaelic culture and furthering the language. So we're happy to accommodate that however we can as well, right? It's all aspects of a forgotten culture. So
Yeah, I'm happy to say that over the last couple of years, I've been meeting more and more artists that are diving into that area as well.
is that
I
right?
just did work with Mary Beth Carty,
Ah,
who's
of
big
course.
into that.
Yes.
But yeah, a few other people that I know too that are more independent have mentioned that they've been taking classes or they've been studying the culture, and
That's great.
it comes up a lot with me. The color scheme of the East Coast DNA ties into my family tree a little bit, and Walsh being an Irish name, Darcy Walsh is actually a very Gaelic name.
Yeah.
So it comes up a lot when people are studying. They're like, hey, they just assume I know stuff from being in the area and everything. So like, I don't know as much as I would like to, but
You almost feel obligated to learn it.
well, that's what I was going to say is that I'm very happy that people around me are learning, so that some of it's rubbing off and I'm picking up a few things here and there. That's for sure.
Absolutely.
So if anybody wants to get more information, the website is a great place to go because I've already been in there and checked it out. I do
Absolutely.
see that you have everything there and it's up to date. So that's wonderful. Is there social media accounts on most platforms?
Yeah, absolutely. We've got a TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, of course, just Antigonish Highland Games. You'll be able to find us through that. So
Perfect. Well, we'll definitely send people that way. And after this call, I'll have to get some contact information from you for the couple bands there, and maybe we'll squeeze in a couple extra chats so people get a
that'd be
little
great. I
idea
mean, you're
of
more
what's
than
coming.
welcome to join us at the field too. So
Well, I'm looking at right here at the calendar and I'm scribbling it down. So I have 2 events that weekend, but there's 3 days over that full weekend, and like with all your events leading up through the week, maybe it's time for me to take a summer vacation.
yeah, you won't hear me argue.
Yeah, exactly. Well, we'll definitely be in touch. I'm serious about the summer vacation timing. I think I might take a little drive up the road because it's super close to Pictou County, so there's no
Yeah, no
reason I
kidding.
can't make it up. And yeah, let's see if we can get a couple bands featured on here as well, and see if we can get a few people, some bums and seats for those shows.
Absolutely. No, we'd love to have it. So I
Great.
appreciate it.
Thanks for your time there, Dan, and I'll see you soon.
Excellent, Darcy. Thank you.
The days are long, the pay is poor. Some might wonder what we do this for. It's a way of life, the only one we know, and I'll roll up my sleeve to show. I have been a farmer's man, and if you ask me, yes I can. I was born with a farmer's tan. Yeah, I have been a farmer's tan, and if you ask me, yes I can. I was born with a farmer's tan. When they raised us right, they made us strong, and they taught us how to get along. But our roots run deep, promises we keep, and I roll up my sleeves to show. I have been a farmer's man, and if you ask me, yes I can. I was born with a farmer's tan. Well, I have been a farmer's tan, and if you ask me, yes I can. I was born with a farmer's tan. This is my home, my community. Everybody here, they know me. With men